Hi, this is Raven, and you're listening to Grizzly ENT. But vocally, this album in particular, and I know a lot of people are kind of questioning that, going, wow, they're getting really heavy, but it was always intended. So what people don't realize is they go back to my interviews, 2 years ago or a year ago. We put out concept albums, and they follow along with the comic book story. So, this isn't all of a sudden we're showing you some more of my black metal vocals. It's always been planned for the Dark album, because the comic book number 2 is coming out in July, which is our journey through hell. So, with that storyline, the dark music is going to come out. But it's always been there. I mean, I've always loved black metal, and it's always been there vocally. As a matter of fact, a little factoid is, prior to creating, and starting the band Raven Black, I actually auditioned and was, almost going to join 2 different black metal bands in Oakland. So that was from the onset. We are not a black metal band. That's not the direction we wanted to go, but there's definitely black metal influences, because my love and passion for it. Lewis, my bass player, Stitches, is also a black metal fan, and he's into like the Norwegian, European black metal even. But that's just some of our influences. But we love all kinds of metal. So our music's one of those, what they call now a subgenre. They're so like, you're kind of in your own league, and you guys are doing dark carnival metal. And I said, yeah. And being a quirky, theatrical metal band, we have all of our influences. And I've kind of said that from the get-go, which is, the question was early on was, what is Raven Black? Like, what is it? What is your vision? Because it's all of my favorite things whipped into one. So you're going to see all kinds of different things in there, forever. And that's why I chose the Dark Metal Carnival, because in a carnival, you expect to see the unexpected.
Yeah. So, you kind of answered another question that I had on here, but I kind of want to elaborate a little bit more about the whole comic aspect of it, because I actually didn't know about the comic, the whole comic thing and the theatrical concept album. So can you kind of elaborate more about that?
Yeah, well, I knew on the onset that I had this vision of, helping people. I mean, the full intent was, I wanted to do something different using the platform where I didn't have to give up any part of my passions or talents. I sing, I dance. I'm heavily trained in singing, dancing. I'm talking about 20 plus years of it. I didn't want to become a professional dancer, but musical theater has been my background. I love the theater. I love movies. I love Tim Burton. I love horror films. So I was like, well, if it's all my favorite things, I don't want to give up any one of my favorite things. What platform, what genre can I be in that doesn't take away any of my favorite things? And of course, like pop music, I can't growl or scream or do any of my black metal stuff. Hip hop, I love hip hop. I did a lot of hip hop dancing back in the 80s and 90s. But in metal, you can have hip hop beats. You can have that element in there, and it's just as heavy. It's just as hard. So it's just all the things that I love. So with that, I was like, well, I love musical theater. I don't want to give that up either. And I love makeup and costuming and stage props and stage production. So, what can I create in my mind that would, not force me to give up any one of my favorite things. So, building that, I ended up, pulling together a storyline so that it's not just gimmicky. We're just not just putting on whatever makeup and getting up there. So I built the characters and wrote around a story. And of course, got the input from the guys, because I wanted it to be organic. I didn't want them to just pretend they're the doctor or pretend they're this or pretend they're that. But, took pieces of their past history and said, what did you want to be when you grow up? And, what was it like when you started listening to music? Like, what's your favorite genre of music? Do you like the hardcore? Do you like thrash? Do you like death? And I implemented that into their characters. So writing the characters was the first part. Want to line this up with our journey as a band, you know, and what we're facing in the music industry and with fans and everything. This was this entire experience. So I kind of lined it up that, you know, we're going to introduce everybody to who we are, where we came from, and how we got together. And that was the first comic book issue, and the first album. And the first album, you know, every song is in a certain order, which is the journey, me as a vocalist, what the doll goes through, you know, how she becomes who she is. And now she learned her magic. And I call the magic is, you know, with each of us, the magic is in our music, you know, and what we create. So it's that energy. So then I knew the second album, which is kind of what we were going through, you know, was kind of facing some of our own demons, you know, you know, lack of confidence, you know, anxiety as far as, are we going to make this? Is our music good? Do people like us? You know, are we going to be able to make it through this? And that was kind of in between the first comic book and the second comic book. And then as we've grown into the third, fourth year of touring, you know, we've met people, we've met shysters, we've met people who want to take advantage of us. We've been cheated out of money. We've been given false leads. You know, everything that kind of comes together in the music industry and the things we've learned touring and you know, going to the grind. So it's one of those things where I said, well, you know, the second comic book was our journey through hell, which has been the last 3 years, and just kind of facing our own demons. On the third note of that is also the progression of what I've experienced as a person, you know, as an individual, and wanting to help other people with mental illness. And, you know, like the four of us have our own personal issues, you know, health-wise or mentally, and, you know, without revealing, you know, too intimate of personal details, you know, we all have our issues and what we've faced or have faced or going through. So like me, I suffered a lot of manic depression and anxiety, and you know, I was bullied a lot. And, you know, a lot of artists, I always see people come up and, oh, well, you know, I'm anti-bullying campaign, and, you know, that kind of thing. And it's really just a facade.
Yeah.
You know, they don't fucking know anything about being bullied. You know, they come from a life of privilege or whatever, and they don't really know what that feels like. I mean, as a young teenager, I was a cutter. I attempted suicide. And I've been through drug addiction. I was a tweaker. You know, I've been to rehab. There's a lot of things that I was like, well, I'm going to implement that into my music, and I'm going to try to help people and let them see, you know.
Yeah.
No matter what you go through, you can still go after your dreams and do what you love. And, you know, it's not about money or fame. It's about just having a voice and, you know, a self-discovery. I mean, I'm almost 50 years old, you know, and people don't know that. And they're like, well, don't tell people your age. And I'm like, why not? And, you know, that's the industry for you. Well, because you want girls to be like you, and you want guys to think you're hot. And I'm like, so, you know, I don't really worry about that. You know, like as an artist and a musician, it's like it doesn't even cross my mind. You know, like when you're a true artist and a true musician and you're not faking it, those things don't come into play. You know, you think more about your lyrics and the message and your music and what you make people feel. So like, you know, I cover up everywhere. Like I don't do sexy. I don't do any of that because I think that takes away from the music and what your message is. I think it's a handicap. You know, like people don't see past the outside. You know. Yeah. So that's why I think the music with the costuming and the characters really gives people focus on the story and the message. And that's why I decided to do it that way. And it took a while to find the right people who understood that about me and what I want to do. And, you know, I went through 8 bass players, you know, 4 guitarists, because they just didn't get it. Like, you know, you have to understand what I'm trying to do. And what I'm trying to do is help people. And I just happened to choose metal music to do it.